The following is an exclusive presentation of Cablevision local programming. TV that's close to home.
What Village Mayor says his top priority is economic development. In fact, the village now has a Chamber of Commerce to call its own. Find out next on Cablevision's Meet the Leaders. Good evening and welcome to Meet the Leaders. I'm your host, Donna Ryer, and the answer is the Village of Monroe Mayor, James Purcell. And during a recent meeting in the village, the Greater Monroe Chamber of Commerce was announced, and a logo and a website are in the works. So welcome. It's your first time on Meet the Leaders, James, so nice to have you here. Good morning. So your top priority is economic development.
Yes, correct.
Talk about why, and during it's tough times.
Right.
How do you get this going?
Well, first, it's a combination of more than just the Chamber of Commerce and government. You need all these entities to work together, because if we don't know the issues that the businesses are suffering to keep them going here in our municipality, you know, we're not going to know how to adjust our rules and regulations that are in our village. Okay. And we recognized right away that you know, I've been a resident of the village for 20 years. And I recognize right away, I don't even know what all the businesses that even exist in the village. So how is I as a resident going to know that unless, you know, they're promoting their product or their businesses, or there's some kind of an organization that lets you know what's available for the public.
Okay. So before the chamber, what was there? What could they utilize?
There used to be a business association,
okay,
but I don't know how active it was prior you know, to me getting involved in politics. But you know, to me, I felt that was lacking because people need to understand that the more they shop locally, they're subsidizing their tax base, because we get a percentage of sales tax back from the county.
Okay.
So the more they shop locally, supporting the local businesses, the more money we get in revenue. It hopefully keeps our tax levy down of us raising taxes on the property owners.
Talk about how you got this Chamber of Commerce up and running, and how the whole process behind it.
I'll tell you what, it was a lot of ambition. It was a lot of thought when I was looking to be a little different when I was running. I wanted to think out of the box and get people involved, get the community more involved, get the business involved. And basically it started with doing research myself and having a meeting, inviting all the businesses that I could get a hold of at a meeting, and say, look, we have to do this to survive as a municipality, and also for your future growth as businessmen and women to make money here in our community. And I held a meeting and I invited them, and it was from there it took off, because the businesses recognized what my goals were to achieve, and now we've joined together and we're working together, and that's how this chamber started going. At the first meeting, I gave a PowerPoint presentation. I used examples of communities like Nyack, where I grew up in Rockland County, and the village of Warwick, how successful they were in turning around their communities, because they went through the same growing pains that a lot of other ones have done, especially in tough economic times. And I use that as basically, this is what we could be, why aren't we? And they got motivated. And since then, we've been rocking and rolling for about a year now, when we're ready to start a membership drive. I mean, we're now formally formed as the Greater Monroe Chamber of Commerce.
And 501c status?
501c status is complete. We're right now in the middle of trying to get our federal tax exempt. That process takes a little bit of time, but we're able to accept membership. We have bank accounts, our bylaws. We have a committee of commissioners or board members, right, and we have what we call a steering committee. We meet once a month on a regular basis to make sure that we don't lose the momentum and the chamber keeps going, because every day is a growing pain. We learn things new that we missed or might have to add, but we meet regularly, and I got to give the businessmen and women that are meeting with me on this regular basis, because they know how important and vital it is to them. And I told them we can't lose the momentum, because this is the key growth to the village and to the residents here in the municipality.
How many members do you have so far? Right
now we have 24 members that are signed up. We are starting a membership drive, because we had to wait for a 501c status, right, so we can open up bank accounts. Yeah. So we will be starting in 2 weeks a membership drive, and we've been doing it online since we have the website going now. We also use Facebook as another alternative, but we feel very strongly that face value to going to the businesses with a message, what the benefits will be for themselves and for the community, and the face-to-face value, and knocking on every business door And that's what we're looking to do, and we're going to be starting in approximately 2 weeks.
Great. And so if anybody's watching a business and they want to get involved, what's the website?
It's the GMOCC, Greater Monroe of Chamber of Commerce, GMOCC Commerce, and they can actually sign up online. We have PayPal account if they want to sign up through PayPal, and we're looking for everybody and to join.
And Facebook too. You said it's on
Facebook. We go on Facebook. You go through that. If you can't find the website through that, you go on Facebook, and then you can get on the website through that.
So Village of Monroe. Just search for Village of Monroe.
Actually, just search for Greater Monroe Chamber of Commerce on Facebook. It'll come right up.
Beautiful. Okay.
Or Google.
So year and a half as mayor.
Yes.
Give me a little bit of history behind why you wanted to get involved in politics to begin with.
Well, many years ago, with my union in the city of New York, we were very involved politically, and they would have us go out and do petitions and stuff. And I actually enjoyed meeting with the people, knocking on doors, and explaining to them, what the issues were that were pertaining to that neighborhood. And then I just saw the political side on how decisions are being made for me as a taxpayer, as a resident. And I started going to board meetings in 2003. Right. And I just this is the process, this is what goes on. And I said, I can't stand on my soapbox and make a comment unless I'm involved in the process and understanding what goes on. And I want to be part of that process. So then I could say, well, at least I became a part of it and I made this decision because I wanted to make a change or something I agreed to.
Right.
And I felt very strongly that, people should be involved more civically, because then they can't say, well, we should do this or that, because if you're not involved in becoming part of the process, you're not going to know what's going on. And I felt very strongly, if I want to talk about an issue, I want to be part of that decision-making part. And one thing led to another, and I just loved every part of it.
And you said you were also a trustee for the
Yes,
village?
I was a trustee for the village for 4 years.
Okay.
And believe me, I knocked on a lot of doors over a 4-year period. But again, I wanted to be part of that process in my community, making decisions, good, bad, or indifferent, so that makes sure that our community survives and becomes a thriving community where people want to move to and live.
You're originally from Rockland County. What made you want to come on over to Orange County?
Actually, a very good friend of mine just got married, and he moved up in 1990. Okay. And at the time I was looking for houses, I had just gotten married, I was looking for homes, and we couldn't afford it. Yeah. And we ended up following our friends up here, and Monroe actually reminded me a lot of the town I grew up in. The only difference is the Hudson River didn't run through it. I grew up in Stony Point. Yeah. But it had the same feel, the same character, and we were really attracted to the downtown. That's really what brought us to Monroe. We loved the downtown. Yeah. Had so much to offer within walking distance, commuting to the city, which I work in the city. So, you had your buses, you had your trains in Harriman. Everything was there, right. And then we fell in love with the place.
Speaking of, you're the Village of Monroe mayor,
yes.
But you also have a full-time job.
Yes.
How do you juggle them both, and what do you do?
I'm actually in charge of the traffic system for the city of New York. Wow. I'm in charge of the borough of Manhattan, where we maintain the systems for the city. We're contracted out by DOT. Okay. So basically, I'm off on Sundays and Mondays. So every Monday, I'm at Village Hall all day.
This is your vacation, and you're here.
And I'm on vacation this week. So, and this week, my vacation has turned into work week for the village. And then every day when I come home from work, I go to Village Hall every day after work, and I, sit with the clerk and go over whatever issues were pertaining to the day. And then whenever I have free time, I just go there, because I found that it really is a full-time job if you want to do it correctly. It's so time-consuming in the sense is if you really want to keep your finger on the pulse and know what's going on and what's available for us out there. You have to spend the time. You have to be able to take that sacrifice. And it's well worth it, because in the end, it's the way you want your community to turn out. Right. So to me, it's a plus, right. And that's what I'm there for.
Right. So a year and a half into it, let's talk about some changes that you made while you've been in office. You told me in a recent conversation that you've been able to save money for the village.
Yes.
Talk about that a little bit.
Well, I recognized right away that, I was on the board, we look to cut the budget as best we can. But one thing we didn't do, and in my business, when we go out to bid for contracts, the first thing we're doing is looking to get the lowest cost from our vendors. So, the company owner can then bid that job at a very aggressive bid package number. We never did that. We kept the same vendors and stuff. So one of the first things I did right away is, well, I want to RFP, or request for proposals, the banks that we deal with, the insurance companies that we deal with, And that was one of the first things we did. The telephone companies, our cell phone companies that we deal with, and we trimmed $81,000 in expenses because we basically said, look, if you want to do business with us, you have to come in with the best price possible, with the best product. And it was competition is what it was. And we end up changing our bank because we got a better product and we were getting charged fees from the old bank. We don't pay any fees for like our deposits and transactions. We had a major savings in our insurance company when we changed our insurance company. And we ended up finding out that we got better coverage now. You know, just the simple small things like that. We were part of a energy audit by Orange and Rockland. They had this program going on where they came in, they looked at your energy usage on your, like say, your lighting fixtures, and they had a program where they would pick up 70% of the bill to do the upgrades to like your fluorescent fixtures, light bulbs, thermostats, and we'd have to pay the other 30%. Well, it turns out we were able to write for a grant with the county to cover the other 30%. It didn't cost us a dime, and after all the upgrades, we saved $6,000 right off our energy cost. Just $6,000 right off our bill.
And it takes just a little bit of research.
Just a little bit of research and following up on the programs that are offered. And there's so much that's offered out there between state, federal, county. You know, we're not going to get them all because we don't always fit criteria, but at least make the attempt. And then on top of that, we met with a company called M&R Energy Resources, and what they are, they're a brokerage company on the commodities exchange. And we went from 11 cents kilowatt hour to 7 cents kilowatt hour on our electric bill, which that saved us $26,000 over the next 2 years. So you're saving $32,000 in electric costs over 2 years' time. And we just re-upped the contract to 2 years to lock in at another 7 cents because the average rate's about 10, 11 cents a kilowatt hour. Just simple networking, meeting people, getting out there, being aggressive. It happens, and you have to make it happen. Right. And just they might be small, but it added up to $81,000 that, you know, and there's other costs that, of course, we know are going to come down the pike between, you know, pensions and medical costs on benefits, you know, so you have to constantly look at where we can save.
Any other challenges that you faced heading in as the new mayor?
I think the biggest challenge really is really revitalizing the downtown and figuring a way to make it attractive, make it more business-friendly environment. And what we're doing is we're going to hire what we call a planner, comprehensive planner. They do your economic studies, they'll do your architectural review, what areas are going to be viable for certain types of businesses, changing your zoning, so maybe we don't need so much commercial zoning, maybe we can turn it into what they call URM, which would be more housing, condos, townhomes, stuff like that. They actually will tell you and design for you what you need to do. In our code book, we have a lot of gray areas in zoning, for instance. Businesses come in and they want to build a project. All of a sudden they're in front of the planning board, and the planning board goes, well, wait a minute, got to go to the zoning board for a variance. So now it's an extra cost to the business. It's now more time consuming to get that project going, and it ends up getting bounced back to the planning board. Well, we recognize in meeting with these planners when we did our request for proposals, that the key issue was zoning, whereas you make your zoning to where a business wants to come in, they'll never go to the zoning board. They won't need to have to get that variance. They won't need to spend thousands of extra dollars in architects and their attorneys, and it's a cost savings to them. It speeds up the process, and you get your development going, and it makes it a more business-friendly environment. And we're looking to do that. And actually, we've picked our planner, and we're going to be hiring that planner, and that planner, we want to get it done in a timely fashion. So when the economy does turn around, people might say, well, I'm spending money wastefully, but my thought is I spend it now, so when the plan is in place and our code book is done and the zoning is done, when the economy does turn around, the business will start to come back, and they're not going to have to worry about all these government obstacles and all this red tape. We want to streamline the process, and we want to be prepared when that economy does turn around, and it will turn around, but we want to be ahead of the curve a little bit, so we're not falling behind the times.
What is your response? It's all over the news. We're in a double dip recession.
Right.
How are you feeling about that? We keep thinking it's going to get better, but I'm sure constituents, I'm sure you're hearing it from, when is this going to end?
Well, the economy itself is like you take all the corporations, the major businesses, they're fine. They've recovered. They have a lot of cash on hand. But I understand their nervousness and the consumer's nervousness because, unfortunately, due to politics, and I'm my party and the other parties down there, due to politics in D.C., everybody's nervous on what to do because they really, in my opinion, and not that I know their system, it's more complicated than our government side, but they're nervous because they don't know what decisions they're going to make tomorrow. There's no real plan in place. Whether it's right, wrong, or different, give us a plan. Give us something that's going to give us job creation. What's going to make us a more stable economy? What is really going to streamline government? Where are your cost savings coming from? Has anybody heard that out of them? All I keep hearing is job creation, job creation. Well, I wouldn't, as a businessman, if I was sitting on the sideline with a bunch of cash, I would make a decision now because our government is not making very strong decisions that are really going to propel the economy.
Right.
And that's where, as a consumer, I can understand, well, why would I go buy something if I don't know if I have a job tomorrow or what kind of product or development is going to be for businesses for future growth? Why would I go spend money? I'm going to save my money because I need to pay my bills.
Too much instability.
Tremendous amount of instability. Yeah. And, this is my opinion, ideologies are dead. We have to get serious about what's going on in our country and really sit down as the elected officials as we are and say, what are we going to do to make sure this country is back on track and so everybody, rich, poor, and middle class, can benefit from our proper decisions and make our economy grow and our future grow for our children. Ideologies just have to go out the window today. We have to get serious, and it's now take care of business. And that's how I feel very strongly about that.
Wonderful. All right. We're going to take a quick break, but when we come back with the Village of Monroe Mayor, James Purcell, we're going to talk a little bit about how he saved the village over $100,000 just by refinancing. We'll be right back. And welcome back to Meet the Leaders. I'm your host, Donna Ryer. My guest is the Village of Monroe Mayor, James Purcell. And before we went to break, I had mentioned that the village residents were saved thousands of dollars. So back up a little. How did this all happen?
It was real simple. In today's economy, money's cheap. The average bond or financing money from banks now is 2% on the government side. We went and started refinancing our bonds. Not complicated. It's no different if you wanted to refinance your house. There's a 10-year bond left up at the water plant, an EFC bond, and actually we saved $195,000 over 10 years over the rest of the bond. We refinanced at 2.2%, and we also refinanced the bond on the police station, and we right off the bat saved $13,000 in our first year. You know, not complicated stuff, but go out there and do it. Don't be afraid that you might make the bank you were working with mad. It's business. Everything has to be looked at strictly business. Nothing personal, it's strictly business. And it takes the drama out of doing your job, and just...
Right, yeah, I think you have to think more like that. It's tough sometimes, especially if you're one of these, you're concerned about people's feelings, but in today's economy, you really have to think more along those lines.
Our attitude at Village Hall is, and we all work very well together as a team. Like I said, we have open communications. I have staff meetings once a month. We always say the pennies will take care of the dollars. We literally look at all our pennies. We started a program, and again, I was a trustee for 4 years. We never had a purchasing agent. My business, a purchasing agent, and everything goes through him. And what does he do? He shops the vendors, negotiates price. So we took one of our employees, and she's now handling our purchasing. And what we did is a pilot project, and we just did on basically like office supplies, because we want to make sure we can handle it and this employee can handle it. In our first year alone, we had a 37% savings in purchasing of office supplies. Now what we're also able to do is have inventory, so we know how much we used, how much we bought, how much we used. So next year when we do our budget coming up, we'll know how much we really need for that fiscal year. Which is now going to grow. We're actually going to be doing all our departments going through our purchasing agent. And we've also learned, teaming up with the county, Jim Purcell, who handles all the purchasing for the county, we can actually use them and any kind of bids that they get at their pricing. So it's about making it competitive, and we use what we call state bid. A lot of the departments will say we want to buy a police car. Right. They look at state bid. Well, Jim Purcell taught us that's just a negotiating point. It's not a guaranteed number. You go in there and you negotiate and you fight hard to get that number lower, or I'll go elsewhere for business. Right. And it's all about just negotiating, working hard, and the purchasing has been, at first it was quirky because everybody kind of had their own little thing they were going, And it was just changing mindset, which was one of the first things I try to accomplish with the employees that were so used to doing business.
Change is always hard.
Right, and we've slowly, actually we've gotten very good at it now, and everybody understands where I'm at, what my thought process is at, because I tell them, I need a good team to support me, and without you, I can't do this. But with your expertise and your experience, you can bring stuff to the table that could be very useful for us, and they have. And that's why I love the employees that work for the village, because they brought a lot of ideas. And our treasurer, Catherine, right away said, Jimmy, let's start refinancing our bonds. It was the first thing she said to me. Let's go, let's do it.
I think that's what it's about, just like utilizing everybody's skills and working together as a team. And there's no, you can't be just that one person that's micromanaging and just doing it all,
And you can't do it all.
Right, you can't.
It's
especially being a mayor.
Right, being a mayor and having a full-time job, right. You have to trust your staff to a point, but at the same time, you have to watch them too. You have to monitor.
Right.
That's why we have staff meetings to keep in touch what's going on, because you can't get sidetracked, so you can get back on track. But it's true, you got to build a good team around you, or it's not going to work.
Do you think your profession, your full-time job, those skills you apply to being the mayor of the village?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Through my experience of working in the field, doing traffic lights myself for 12 years, and being a boss for 10 years, I've had to deal with city inspectors, commissioners, bosses for all the DOT, let alone my own bosses, that my company I work for, because they want a profit margin. So I have to make sure that I hit that number for them. At the same time, giving the city the product that they expect in return for what they pay for. They want a return on their investment when these bids go out, and they want a quality product being out there.
Right.
So if I can keep all the commissioners happy and all the inspectors happy and all the bosses for DOT in the city of New York and the mayor's office, and keep my boss happy and he's making his profit, one of the things I recognize from my job I bring to experience is liability with the insurance.
Right.
Helps keep our costs down.
Right.
And it's just being proactive in every aspect of the job of how it operates and what you do. And we look to streamline all the time to make it more efficient. And the less lawsuits that my company has, the lower their liability, then it helps them bid better. I bring that whole work experience right to being mayor. And the fact that I've only been involved in government for a short time, but working with government in the private sector, I've seen both sides how they work. And I'm able to bring that ability to the table and integrate it into the mayor's job. And it makes my job a lot easier because of my experience.
I don't know how you find the time. And you have a family. And you have a family too.
Yep.
You want to talk about that a little bit?
My wife Deb, and my son Jimmy and Kiera. My son is 16. He's going to be a junior in high school.
Very
and my daughter's 12. Just had her cast off. She broke her leg during softball season.
Oh, jeez.
But they're very active in sports now, and since they're a little bit older, it does make it easier for me to manage time, because when they're in school, if they're involved in the sports, whatever, they could take the bus. My son will be driving soon. He's got his permit.
I have a 16-year-old too.
Okay, so when we get him a vehicle, he'll be able to go on his own. But he's looking for a job too.
Yeah.
But it makes it easier, and I make sure I try to juggle my schedule around their schedule, because I want to spend as much time as I can with them, especially at the ball games, or the plays that go on at the school, whatever they're involved in. And it's really just about working your schedule. Yeah. You can do it. But the days that I am gone, I'm gone sometimes. I'm saying, sorry, I can't make it. But, texting works quite well in today's technology world.
Unfortunately, it really does. And speaking of technology, you're also available on Facebook. You have a Facebook page?
Yes.
You want to, if people want to contact you or friend you, how can they?
They can get that actually on my on Facebook, because I still have the website I had up running for mayor.
Okay.
They could Facebook me in the Monroe Chamber of Commerce. We're going to make a Facebook page for the village. We're in the process of doing that now for the Village of Monroe. We want to put them on Facebook. Yeah. So we're readily available. And the Village of Monroe, what we did too is we redid our website to make it more friendly oriented and business oriented. Again, it was another thought I had as well. Why don't we put the businesses on there that we know exist in the village? So if anybody...
Very user-friendly, by the way. I have to say, I did check it out.
Did you?
Very user-friendly, yes, and a lot of links.
We didn't think the old one was, and that's what we were thinking. We said, well, let's make it as user-friendly as possible. Well, we have a constant contact, so people can contact me that way too, which I do get contacted, which is great, which I know was worth us putting there. But we also did it again. We said, well, why don't we just give the businesses a free plug? Put it on our website, get their links. So if somebody's looking, and this is how I look at it. If somebody wants to move to Monroe, what do? They're going to go to Google, they're going to punch Monroe in. All right? Or near everything. So we wanted the school district on there because we have a great school district. I want people to know what businesses are available, what recreational facilities are available. trying to market the product right as somebody's looking to buy. Why do you want to come to Monroe? And it was just a simple thing, and the webmaster says, that's a good idea. I said, no, it's simple and not complex.
5 minutes left in the show, probably
Sure.
less than that, but why would somebody try to tell me the benefits of living in the village of Monroe?
Well, it's exactly what I said earlier, why I moved here. One is you have a downtown, which you can walk to a lot of places to go shopping. Granted, we have the big box stores that are just down the road from us, but when you have a downtown, when you go for the pizzeria, go to the movie theater, it's nice to be able to walk. Our asset is the ponds. We're having summer concert series this year. We figured let's utilize our assets. We have 3 concerts this year. We're going to improve on it, have more. We're going to have a Halloween parade. But what moved us here was the downtown, was such an attraction. And if you work in the city, you can commute. I mean, you have the short line bus. We have a commuter lot that's there. You can park. A lot of people that live close as I do can walk to get the bus.
Right.
It's close to the highways. It's close to Route 17. It's close to the Thruway. And over Long Mountain Parkway, you're going on the Palisades Parkway. So it's conveniently located for commuting. You have the downtown where you can go shopping, get something to eat, the movie theater. Yeah. And you have a lot of local businesses there. If you're looking for something, you don't always have to drive to Middletown or go over to the Commons to get something. Right. Or go over to where Target and Home Depot is.
Right.
So, and that's why I would love to live there, because it's kind of like a little mini city. Everything is there for you.
In walking distance.
In walking distance, and we're looking to improve on all that too. We own the racetrack property, which is ours now. We want to make that a walking park tied in with all our other parks, and that's what part of that plan is too, to make it just a user-friendly environment and utilize the resources we have, because the village of Monroe has them, and we want to make it the jewel of Orange County. That's our goal. And
let's not forget Cheese Festival.
Cheese Festival, September 10th. Hopefully everybody comes out. It's a great day. If the weather holds out like it did last year, we had a tremendous turnout last year, one of the best ever. I got to give the plug to Joe Mancuso. Joe was part of Action in Monroe. Joe is the former mayor. He's been running it for the last 12 years, and Joe does a tremendous amount of work. Again, a community-minded guy, and Joe keeps it going. And with our support and with them, it's a great festival, and it's a great day.
Mayor Purcell, it was so nice to meet you, and I'm looking forward. I want to have you back.
Okay,
Definitely.
Thank you, Don. I appreciate the time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great day.
And thank all of you for tuning in. I'm Donna Ryer. We'll see you next time on Meet the Leaders.